Millennials more likely to face working-age poverty than any previous generation. UK report finds, millennials are on course to face record rates of working-age poverty thanks to government housing and welfare policies, according to new research.
Here's a summary of the article.
Millennials are on course to face record rates of working-age poverty thanks to government housing and welfare policies, according to new research. 22% of those born between 1981 and 2000 are likely to be living in relative poverty in their late 20s, a higher proportion than any previous generation, the Resolution Foundation estimates. Almost a quarter of the 1991 to 95 cohort are expected to be in relative poverty in their late 20s, an age where poverty rates have, historically, been low because a high proportion of people are working. The poverty rate for the post-war baby boomer generation who are now entering retirement has fallen to 15%, the lowest on record. While almost half of the pre-war greatest generation lived in pensioner poverty during the 1980s and early 90s, a combination of economic tailwinds and policy success has since helped to reduce pensioner poverty by 2/3 for the baby boomers entering retirement today. Children born today are more likely to face poverty at the start of their lives than any other generation over the last 60 years, the report found. At age 25, around 14% of millennials are in poverty before housing costs, compared to 22% after housing costs.
This post received a score of 2,266, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
And here are the millennials being labeled as lazy, self-entitled, etc. The fact is that the older generation hold on to the top jobs and contributed to crazy asset prices whilst the younger generation are barely able to make ends meet. It gets better. Once the older generation passes, they leave behind a world ravaged with problems: global warming, polluted oceans, income inequality, unstable governments, the list goes on.
Their generation will not be remembered fondly. We praised the greatest generation for getting us through World War II and the early days of the Cold War, but the boomers will not get anywhere near that level of respect.
The boomers' entitled, selfish attitudes are what has gotten us in this mess. The mentally ill roam the streets without proper aid because the boomers closed down all the mental hospitals. Core and the already wealthy have all the cash because boomers voted to deregulate stock markets, lower taxes on the wealthy, and our planet is poisoned because the boomers let polluting core rewrite EPA regulations.
It's weird that this is being framed as boomers ruined it for millennials as opposed to what it actually is, the mega-rich vs everybody else. This is capitalism at work.
Same as the whole Russia, China, America, KSA, Israel bad thing that everyone defaults to when discussing geopolitics. Most people in these countries are just trying to get by. It is the International Rich Boys Consortium that is fucking everything up for everyone, regardless of nationality.
Within this, however, is the fact that the UK banking system has controlled and sustained the money laundering for all these rich boys, including oligarchs, terrorists, drug lords, despots and dictator families for decades. If UK millennials want to do something about this, they need to start asking their MPs about the status of places like Jersey, Guernsey and the Isle of Man, not to mention territories in the Caribbean. You think you lot are hard done by? Tell that to entire developing nations which have been stripped of their wealth, which is then hidden and moved around in complicit British financial institutions.
I can't even think this could be possible for anyone earning less than 30k. Why? This is in the EU, not the US, by the way, so we're talking euros. I don't have education or medical debts like some stories I see coming out of the USA, and honestly, I have no idea how a young adult there is even supposed to do it. I'd be terrified of going on the job market with a 200k debt.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.